Hello everyone. Today I am here with you to share some of my interpretations about the great quotes by Sir Francis Bacon and Aristotle. I love these two philosophers, one English philosopher, another ancient Greek philosophers, because I find them so varied in their intellectual capabilities, in their thought, in their manipulation, in their practical wisdom, in their spiritual wisdom. And I think they combine both practicality and spiritualism. That's what we need today in situations like this pandemic to overcome these great difficult situations. Now, first of all, I should introduce you with not Aristotle or not with Sir Francis Bacon. I should introduce you with another great Greek philosopher, Epictetus. He was a Stoic philosopher. Let's interpret his quotation, and I have selected this quotation for particularly this situation we are going through. Happiness and freedom begin with one principle. Some things are within our control and some are not. So we have to realize that all the situations are not in our hands, just the situations we are going through. So since all the situations are not in our hand, and in every respect, it's not just in this situation, in every situation, in every century, in future, in past, we must, and all individuals must realize that our happiness lies within us. Happiness should not be determined by external factors. If it is determined by external factors or material factors, that material factors will guide us. So we should isolate our happiness from this material reality. Of course, we live in reality, but happiness we should try to dissect it, to isolate it from those material things. We may not have the luxury of life, we may not have all this leisure, we may not have all the freedom, but we should try to be happy. And this efforts lies in one realization, that all the situations cannot be controlled by us, and we should not try to control them. So that's why in this situation we should try to think, we should introspect and try to devote ourselves to something which may enhance ourselves, our perception, our understanding of life, of philosophy, of the reality, everything. Now, move on to the next slide, and this is by Francis Bacon. I've selected this particular section of his text. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted. So, what is the purpose of our reading? To confute with others, to contradict others' argument, others' logic. Not to believe and take for granted. These seem to be contradictory, but we should think it carefully while reading anything. Not to find talk and discourse, just to find some materials for our discourse, for giving lectures, but to weigh and consider. This is what Bacon says, that we should, the ultimate purpose of our reading is to weigh, to consider within us, to introspect about us, about our existence, about human existence, about nature, about humanity, about civilization, about science, about knowledge, everything. Some books are to be tested. And how should we face the books? This is very practical assertion given by Sir Francis Bacon. That's what he is one of my favorite philosophers, because he combines philosophy with practicality. So some books are to be just tested. He's using metaphors of food, metaphors of fruit. Others to be swallowed. You know that some foods often you need to swallow it. Some few to be chewed and digested. So the greatest and most difficult food, you need to chew it, you need to digest it. That's why there are few books among millions of books, millions of texts that require to be chewed slowly and thoughtfully digested. That is, some books are to be read only in parts. So those books which are to be tested, just we can read it in parts. Others to be read but not curiously, but not attentively, not thoughtfully. And some few to be read wholly, completely. And you have to read it with diligence and attention. And that is the most successful reading. We know that all the texts don't require, all the books don't require to be tested in that way. So you should be careful what text to read, how to read. That will make you a practically successful while reading and dealing with so many books, so many literature, so many texts. So you must keep this in mind as a student, as a scholar. Next, I should also take you to Francis Bacon. What he says now, let's look. Reading maketh a fool man. It's a very well-known quotation used by our teachers. And writing an exact man. Writing makes an exact man. So there is a difference between full man, complete man, and exact man. A full man may not be exact, may not be accurate. And therefore, if a man write little, he need have a present wit. And if he read little, he need have much cunning to see, to know which he does not know. That means when you actually don't know, you have to pretend. What else you can do? Because people expect you to know much. But if you don't read and you don't know much, you have to pretend. And this is the greatest curse. Pretension is the greatest curse for wise men, for intellectual men. So don't pretend, just read and write. This is the way, these are the ways that it can make you complete, that can make you exact, accurate, a scholar. The next quotation, also by Francis Bacon, it is overall for all, not just for students. Histories make men wise, poets make us witty, the mathematics make us very subtle, natural philosophy makes us very deep, moral philosophy makes us grave, logic and rhetoric makes us able to contend, able to defend our argument, able to present our views logically, coherently. So all the subjects are required to be studied. So we can't say that we are students of science, we should not read this. We are students of literature, we should not read this. No. You need all these skills. And to acquire all these skills, as students, as scholar, you should go through all the subjects. All these interdisciplinary subjects and skills can make you better for the future. Now, move on to another quotation by Aristotle. I think this is very relevant for this present context. In this present situation, what we find is that great men, great scholars are isolated from the mainstream of governance, mainstream of politics. Very few wise men now are committed to politics now, are committed to administration. Most people prefer to be peaceful, to lead a peaceful life. Why? We have to think, why? Let's introspect and interpret this quotation, this famous quotation by Aristotle. Suppose then, of course it's a translated text from original Greek text. Suppose then that all men were sick or deranged. save one or two of them who were healthy and of right mind. So what he says, suppose that we live in a society where most of the people are sick, of course in metaphorical way, sick that we don't seek better knowledge, we don't seek knowledge at all, we just need to prefer a happy life, prosperous life, a fruitful life. Save one or two. There are just one or two who are actually right-minded people, healthy-minded, who are truly human beings in that sense. What would happen? They are minority. They are just two or three. Most of the people are not in that way. They are not used to or habituated to these two or three minority of peoples. It would then be the latter two would be thought to be sick and deranged, and the former not. This is very interesting. Most of the sick people would think that these two people are sick, we are healthy. So the morality would reverse, and this is the reversal of values that we are going through. Today, this modern and postmodern society, what we find is that most of the values have been reverted, have been reversed, have been manipulated by us, have been maneuvered by us. And we think that this is the way, since most of the people are doing in that way. And those who say that no, this is not the right way, they are the wrong people. This is the sad reality of present situation. So thanks for allowing me to share my views on these great men. Thanks for watching my videos.